In this episode of Write, Publish, Repeat, Sean and I talk about why we hit pause on charging for author velocity until February and why we're offering it free in January and how you can get in if you're one of the first 100 people to sign up.
Write, publish, repeat, it echoes through the air. A chorus for creators, a call to those who dare. With cookies as his compass and a pen that won't retreat, he journeys through the pages. Write, publish, repeat.
And welcome to Write, Publish, Repeat. Happy holidays and all that jazz. It is I, David Wright, and are you my guest or my co-host? I don't even know anymore. Sean Platt.
I think at this point, I am your co-host.
Yes, all right. Today's show, we are talking about author velocity and a change we made and really good news for a lot of people that wanted to try it out. And bad news, I guess, for people that wanted to send us money.
No, I think it's still good news for them. It's just bad news for us. So yeah, in short, you actually can't buy it right now. The page is closed, and it's not because we sold out. it's because well, we closed the door because we weren't really firm on what it was or needed to be. So we've had a lot, even before we started the podcast officially, we knew we were going to do this thing, but we didn't really know what it was going to be. And we had a couple of different iterations, and we had people emailing us and asking us questions about it. And we knew there was interest around it. But the more we talked about it, it's like every time we talked about it, we're like, oh, we could do better. We could do better. We could do better. And this always goes back to, so when we had the Sterling and Stone, the Stone Table, the digital version, and there was 150 people in this group, and one of the people in that group, her username was Nebraska Jen. And we did something on our Stories to Go relaunch, and we did an amazing job on the first version of Stories to Go. And then we got ahead of ourselves and shit the bed on the second version of Stories to Go. And her comment has just stayed with me ever since. She was totally right. And she's like, it seems like everything you guys put out is in beta. And she was right. And so that was in my head a little bit. And I'm actually okay with putting things out in beta because that's how you go. That's how you get better. And if we waited for things to be perfect, like perfection is the enemy of done. But there's a difference between putting something out in a proper state of beta and not. And so when I sat with that and I thought, well, we could put it out in beta, but we shouldn't charge for beta. Like, let's put this out and let's just do a really great job with it and kind of work around the community. So it sucked a little for us because so we were funded. Anyone who bought, we were funded, but we have to pay the service fees for those.
Awesome. So we're losing money already. This is a perfect venture.
Yeah. So author velocity is right now running at a loss.
That is so awesome.
But you know me, I'm always okay with making it so the eventual thing is the best it could possibly be. And we hadn't just iterated through, like, we've changed the nature of what this is a few times. And I didn't feel right, even if I strongly feel that what we have now is better than what we had when we put the sales page up the first time. But that's somewhat irrelevant. If you paid for something that was like, hey, here's the promise we're making, and all of a sudden it's a different promise. That's cool. Yeah. So, and we've had a lot of internal conversations around this. What can we do to make it awesome? And so there's two things to talk about, and this will be a little shorter episode. We're saying goodbye to the year, but we wanted to say goodbye with a gift. And also, one of the other deciding things here was that the whole thing is geared towards a month, right? It's a month, and let's see if you could build these habits in a month and have a community and on and on and on. And we really strayed a little bit away from that, especially because when we were first ideating on this and we thought, oh my God, it's a great way to launch this. It's a great time to launch this because everybody wants to get their shit together going into January, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, this is the year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start my habit.
I'm joining that gym.
Yes, everyone joins the gym on January 1st. Problem is, I really need my 2 weeks off. It's been a I mean, I fully generated this year. I worked
Call
really,
back.
yeah, I worked really hard this year. And because I worked really hard this year, I want to take my 2 weeks off. And I really owe it to Cindy to take my 2 weeks off. And so I don't want to be on January 1st for this thing.
Right.
I don't want to be publicly available, but also I don't want to charge for something if I'm not fully present. So,
Yeah, I'm not here yet, but you mind paying us ahead of time?
right. There's just there was a bunch of things that were like, well, this is a little more ill-conceived than we want, so let's just kind of reboot the idea. So happy holidays. This is a gift. And okay, so there are limitations on this. It is a gift for the first 100 people. We are going to have 100 people. That's where we cap the beta. Wow, that sounds like a frat, huh? Kappa Beta. And what it's going to be is just a little more of a private community. It's not, so one of the original things that we were going to have was like an always open Zoom rooms. You could always jump in with other writers. But then Dave was like, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not leaving my computer on all fucking day.
And then we were thinking about a few different ways to navigate that. And it was like, maybe that's something we can put in later. And what are the things that people actually want? And it's a little bit of not just hand holding, that's probably not the right word, but community, to know that you're not alone in this thing. And so there's and answers and access. And so the things that we thought would be really straightforward to offer in Author Velocity was, one, a little group. And I've always been a really, really big believer in the mastermind idea. And you can have a mastermind of just, like 12 people, or you can have a mastermind. I never think it should be bigger than 150 people in like a container.
Then it's a cult.
Yeah. So we're going to have a little group, and we're going to have regular Ask Us Anythings where you can ask us anything. And it's a little bit different.
Anything at all?
Well, yeah, I don't care.
Within reason. Come on. I'm not giving away the secret locations.
No, well, Dave's still going to be largely redacted. But I do love the idea of a smaller group where I am open and transparent by nature, but I feel much, much more comfortable in a small group with the door closed, just answering questions off the cuff. And hot seats. I really, really believe in hot seats. So if you don't know what a hot seat is, it's something that typically takes place in a mastermind type environment. And I have always seen these as very, very successful, both in rooms where I've been just a participant and rooms that I've run, where even if you're not the one who is getting the problem solved, the fact that everyone is focused on solving your problem and everyone else can learn from that solution, it's just an amazing environment.
It's really cool because I used to shit all over masterminds before we actually had one, because I viewed them as like get rich internet millionaire schemes, and a lot of them are, but I know the ones that you have been in or are in, they're all filled with really good people that deliver value to people, and they don't look for ways to make easy money. They look for ways to add value and deliver stuff. And the first time, we did the mastermind, because you're one of the most, I don't know the right adjective for this. You have the most integrity of anyone I know. And when you build something, I know that it means something and you're truly trying to deliver value. And the one thing when we did the mastermind and did the hot seat, like I noticed, one of my favorite things when I'm writing is brainstorming and like with other people, and especially helping other people out. Like I don't like people like jumping all in my idea. If I already have a solid idea where it is, I just want to be left alone. But being able to help other people, especially something that they might not know about, that's fucking amazing, because it's taking our leveraged knowledge and using it to help other people. And when I was in the mastermind and we did the stuff and helped other people, I watched other people help other people, just watching all these lights go off. And it was truly an amazing experience for me, the skeptical, cynical asshole. Like actually watching people try to help one another versus, try to fuck one another.
Well, thank you, Dave.
That's your Christmas gift, a compliment, and it's the last one I'm going to give this year.
I'll take it. I love hearing that, actually. You didn't tell me that at the time, and you've never told me since. So
I value my gifts so much that I rarely give them.
Well, I really do appreciate that. And yeah, it's true. And that's the thing about a hot seat. It's not, your question could be, how do I monetize my direct sales site? It could be, how do I feel better about the words that I'm writing? It's, how do I manage my family right now because I'm not as present as I need to be for my family, or I'm not as present for my creative work. Your questions can come from anywhere, and so can the solutions. So yes, Dave and I have experience and knowledge, but by bringing in, 100 other people, well, maybe we have somebody who's crushing it on direct sales, but they're not doing so well, like emotionally. So maybe their hot seat is like, how can I feel grounded? How can I feel better about the work that I'm doing? But then they're present for this other person's hot seat about selling direct. And I love tapping into a community to get better and better and better over time. And this is a conversation for later, but I have ideas for how to iterate that community over time, because it is about the combined intelligence. If you go all the way back to the first Smarter Artist Summit, it'll take too long to get the right answer here. But it was very important.
Guess what I remember? It's going to be nothing.
Well, it was really important that we didn't have it at a hotel, and that there wasn't like a stage that separated the people who had done it from the people who were doing it.
Right.
Right. We had just a row of bar stools and everybody was on the same level. That was very important to send that
And
message.
we had an introvert space.
Yes. And because everybody could just be equivalent, I love that message. I love the idea that somebody speaking doesn't feel like they're way above the people who are attending, and anybody attending doesn't feel like that's out of reach. Like, we're all doing this together. And that's how I want this community that we're building slowly over time. That's exactly what I want from it. I want shared intelligence, and I want the intelligence to get better over time, and I want it to be filled with people who are givers more than takers. So, there's not an application right now. It really is first come, first serve. But over time, I am sure that this will become something that is filled and will become application based. And if you are somebody who sees yourself as a giver more than a taker, then you are going to thrive in this environment over time, because that's what we tend to attract.
I agree, and I think I'm struggling with the right words here, but basically what you were just saying about, how somebody might have one area of their life that they're really good at, but another area that's just falling apart or whatever. I think that really addresses the thing I used to wonder about, like a group or a mastermind. It's like, well, why would these people be here if, they need help? I mean, I thought they're successful, but I've seen that a lot of the most successful people, and even people that aren't successful, there are areas they do excel in, and there's areas where they fall short in. And everybody like combined together helping one another, like that's really cool. Because even in our own company, there's some people that do certain things really well, struggle with other things, like myself.
Dude, that's just people. I literally don't know anybody. Like, I know a lot of very, very successful people. I don't know anybody who's just firing on all cylinders in every single part of their life. Like, that's the thing. Last year, I had a hard 2023. Like, we basically were dealing with $1 million loss that happened within a 2-week period, and that's a hard thing to get over. And
we got fucked.
And so one of the masterminds that I belong to, I was trying to bow out. I was like, you know what? I can't.
I'm a failure. I don't belong here.
Well, my ticket had already been paid for the group, but I had to get flights and I had to get a room. And it wasn't responsible for me to spend that money. So I sent an email.
Hey,
I said,
Cindy, I'm going to spend the very last of our money on this trip away.
right, exactly. I'm like, you know what? I can't justify this. So I sent an email and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to bow out, and I'll catch you next year. And I was told, you know what? In a situation like this, I feel what you're going through. And as entrepreneurs, we go through this kind of stuff a lot. Like, it just happens. And you're feeling right now like you just need to go and solve all the problems, because as entrepreneurs, that's how we tend to think. And he was totally right. He said, I have a counter proposal. I think you need to be around people right now. And he offered to just cover my expenses, and I needed to be around those people. And dude, I'm telling you, like 5 seconds after I stepped foot on the property, I was surrounded by people who saw me and hear me and understood me and were like super, super supportive. And I came home and I just solved one problem after the next. Like, it was September 19th. And by November, like, we were in a much, 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 much better place. And that trip had a lot to do with it. Like, being around people who are intelligent and kind and willing to help. And I've always been somebody who wants to pay it forward. I'm wired to want to help people who want to do the work. What I'm not good at is helping people who complain or who don't do the work. But anybody who like shows up and wants to do the work and doesn't bring ego. Like, I'm not good with ego. I mean, I love Johnny. He's like my one exception. I'll be
Look
like,
at these abs, motherfucker.
yeah, Johnny can bring all the ego he wants. I'm used to it. It's fine. But
Johnny's kind, though. I think a lot of people that have a huge ego are really dicks.
well, he doesn't
It's a
use
zero-sum game to them. They win,
he
everyone
doesn't
else
use his
loses.
ego to put other people down, and
Yeah.
that's never going to be okay with me. I feel like ego is something that should drive your own, your own work, your own creativity. But if you put your own ego in a way that hurts other people or holds other people back or makes them feel lesser than, like, just fuck you.
Fuck off.
Yeah, totally. So and I feel like the best way to build this thing that we've been talking about building for a couple of months now is to open it up to everybody and then, reassess and see what we have. And I feel like some of the mistakes that we made in the older versions of this writing space where we were trying to make an impact was making assumptions. And here's what we think the audience needs instead of asking what the audience needs. And I feel like getting 100 people in and really listening and, taking the pulse of where everybody is will build better tools. And so that's a
stronger community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's awesome, and I'm glad we're not rushing it. I hate rushing shit, and I hate rushing shit and then asking people for money for it. That's like, no, that's like putting out half a book and then say, yeah, I'll finish it later.
There are people who do that.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm really happy with the decision, and I think this is a good chance for somebody that, because you're saying about the application stuff, I think there might be somebody that might not feel like they're in the right place to join something like this, or they're basically like you before you went to that thing and realized, oh, okay, I should be here. So I think this is a perfect example or a perfect opportunity for somebody that is in that headspace to be around other people and realize, yeah, they can do this shit. And that might make for a stronger community than if we just immediately, charge people. And yeah, I think having this open enrollment sort of thing is a really cool idea that became necessary because we didn't want to, rip people off and give a half-assed product. So
Yeah.
I do think that a lot of like even conversations I've had with writers recently who've written, because we're doing a podcast again, the things that they have said we've helped them with in the past and stuff, and how some of the struggles they still have are still ever present, even though they're very successful. I think those kinds of people, like in our group, like they do nail this one thing, they fail in this other area, help help one another, and we help in every area we can, and we're available. And I think it's going to be an amazing thing. And I say this as a fucking cynical bastard.
Yeah, I'm
That would
actually really
never-
surprised. Like, I'm surprised by you constantly in this episode because you. Go ahead.
Well, because I know who I was before I met you, and I know what I did before I met you. And I think you've been a very good example in my life of somebody that's helped me come out of my shell, get rid of my old assumptions, and, hold myself accountable and push me to do things. And it's still a struggle. I'm not saying, like, I'm still missing deadlines.
Yeah, to be clear, everybody,
Yeah.
Dave still struggles.
But I'm way better off than I was, before I met you in a creative way and doing what I love to do for a living. So I think I am the perfect person that would have loved to have joined a group like this, but never would have joined a group like this because I'm immediately thinking, oh, what the fuck? Who are these fuckers?
Yeah.
But I know you, and I know the value that you offer and bring, and you wouldn't make something like that. So to me, it's a no-brainer. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. So,
Yeah, and I mean, to be clear, we do want this to be a paid product at some point because this is Dave's little business, right? Publish, repeat. Even though he's roped me into being a co-host, this is Dave's.
yeah, it's
thing.
gonna be a paid product on month 2 because Dave needs to pay his rent.
Yeah, and so we'll get there, but I want to know what we're building first. And I want to make sure it's aces. And I've really loved the iteration on this. I've loved the ideating. And it is, of all the things that we've built together, not stories, that doesn't count, but in all the nonfiction stuff that we've built together, I've never seen you more energized. I've never seen you embracing ideas more. And so I love that. Like, it used to be in the old days, it was me and Johnny, would put something like this together and drag you into it. And there's none of that now. It's, hey, Dave, what if we did this? And then we're talking about how to make it great. And that's very exciting to me because I feel like you'll get as much out of it as anybody. And me too. I really get something very specific helping. And I have missed it. Like, I did get really burned out on the entire space. But I spent several years away, and I feel strong and ready and excited about helping the community right now. So, yeah, this is really great.
So, all right. Well, this is going to be a shorter episode because I have soccer I have to go to. So, where do people go to sign up?
Storymerchants.com/WPR/author velocity. Now, you do have to be a repeater.
Okay. So author velocity, all one word, or is there a dash in there?
There is a dash in there.
Okay.
And I think if you're not a repeater, it'll probably tell you need to give an email address or something. I don't know.
So you got to join the mailing list in order to. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody.
We will
Have a
send
Merry
an email
Christmas.
out. So we will send an email to, I'm actually realizing this in real time right now. We'll send an email to repeaters first. So if you're already on the list, you get first dibs.
Yeah, that'd suck if like the YouTube audience heard it before the people on the list. And like, why am I on a list? And I didn't even fucking hear about it. Now it's too late.
Right. So we'll send that email out first. You will be writing all these emails.
Oh, fuck me. Then just one email. Fuck everyone that doesn't get it. All right. Okay. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Sean, for becoming the co-host.
Yeah. I can't even bitch about it because I really am enjoying it. Happy holidays, everyone. I cannot wait until 2025. I'm so glad we're doing this. I'm so glad you're here listening. 2025, you guys, is going to be so fucking rad. I know 2024 for a lot of us was a shit show, but 2025 is queued up.
Sean will tell you all his new word next time, perhaps, and show us a tattoo he's getting of it.
I will not get a tattoo, but I will share.
Then you're
the
not
word.
really committed.
Even if it's not the same word I have right now, which I think it will be, I will share it next time.
All right. Well, thank you all, and have a great holiday and New Year and all that jazz, and I'll see you next time.
Shadows of the Sunshine State, redacted is his home. Lives a man named David Wright, who pens the great unknown. Diet Coke runs through his veins, a decoy wallet keeps him rich. Paranoia fuels his pen and creativity's his niche. Write, publish, repeat, it echoes through